So, Joe, how should we address the Yankees right now? The Walking Wounded, the hit MLB show about a post-apocalyptic baseball team's trying to find its way after losing game after game. How do we talk about this team now that it's at 500 and threatening to lose a playoff spot to Baltimore of all teams?
Greatest number 8 seed of all time.
I mean, there's not much great to talk about them right now after a six.
Yeah. Well, considering, what was it? I think it said over the last 20 games, uh, the Yankees have 9 of 16 batters below 200. Being below that Mendoza line is not a good thing, especially if you're Mike Ford and you have a .086 average. That's 3 for 35. That is, oh man, I don't even think he deserves to be in like single A.
Not just Mike Ford, it's other stuff. Aaron Hicks is batting 214. Brett Gardner's batting a .170. Gary Sanchez can't find a baseball.
Yeah, even in his glove.
Yeah, even in his glove. The only time he finds a baseball, it's literally home run or nothing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And not only just that, the pitching, when they're either not getting enough support, or when they finally get support, they blow up.
Yeah, it's score 10 runs, give up 20 runs, and then you give up only 3 runs and you can't score anything.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Is it a surprise that after going 16-5 in their first 21 games, they're now, I think it's since then they're 5 and
They're
16.
Flipped. Yeah, they flipped.
Yeah. The only three bright spots, DJ LeMahieu's back, so that's automatically one. But the only two other bright spots is Miguel Andujar has finally found his groove at the plate again. Not much power in a short sample, but he's at least cemented himself back into this abhorrent lineup once Gio Urshela returns. And Debbie Garcia has really impressed me in his two starts. He wasn't able to qualify in his second start back for a win, but that first outing, I think this guy is at least going to be the one bright spot out of this current lineup with 12 strikeouts in his first 2 starts, and as of recording, he's matched up in Game 3 against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. Clint Frazier has been definitely proving his case to stay in the lineup. One of the few Yankees with like a decent batting average.
One of only 3 over 250.
Yeah, and he has been a walk machine. Let's see. Let's go on for the Yankees here.
Yeah, 276 batting average, but
he's
a
got
390.
14 walks, and he's played in like 10 less games than like everybody else.
Well, that's why 396 on base percentage against a 276 average. You know who my favorite player is? Nick Swisher. He always had on base percentage about 120 points or 120 points over.
Yep.
And that's my one problem with baseball right now is that a lot of them are they go after the home run, but that's it. It's home run or what? Frazier's a guy who will grind out an at bat, give you that walk, give you something more than a home run when needed. Although on Monday he came up short when the Yankees could have put the boot on the Blue Jays, and that led to disaster. But
I do want to say, out of all the Yankees, I mean the one who has the most walks is Aaron Hicks with 28. And he's on base with a 376 here.
Yeah,
that 214 average. I forget who I was watching, what article I was reading, whatever it was. They were talking about Aaron Hicks, and they basically said he's got a very good eye, but that's only really for walking. When it comes to hitting, if he can figure that out, even if he's a 250, 260 guy, that on base percentage then instantly jumps up to over 400, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's a guy you can then put at the top of the lineup, or 1 or 2, or maybe bat him 6th. But with the 214 average, I don't think you can be doing that.
No, I mean it's out of necessity at this point.
It's out of necessity.
You can't put who you put Ford, Sanchez.
Yeah, I don't.
The good news is that Giancarlo Stanton seems to be very close to returning within the week. It seems Judge is still a little further. Urshela should be back once his DL stint is up. So help is on the way, but it might. But the schedule.
It might be too late.
Well, not necessarily, because even though we're the Yankees are 0-2 against the Blue Jays coming into Wednesday, the schedule works out that those are their first two games about the Blue Jays. If they can battle back tonight with Garcia against struggling Tanner Roark, and can at least and maybe even up the series, the next time they face the Blue Jays, they might be loaded up again, because if you looked. Yeah. It wasn't for lack of trying that they shelled Hyunjin Ryu, who they hit more home runs off him than the league has hit all season against him.
Yeah.
Taiwan Walker was shelled after 2 innings. How the Yankees weren't able to scratch a run across is beyond me. But pulling up the schedule,
they got Baltimore next, Toronto, and then they got Boston, Toronto, and Miami.
Yeah, so Boston is the one lone spot against us, and they also haven't talked about. There's still 3 games they have to make up against Miami if that affects anything. So that might be during that Miami series. That might be a 5 or 6 game series. With
and that might burn you out if you're coming back, beating Baltimore and Toronto, and you're fighting for those spots there, and you gotta get to Miami. Now you gotta make up 5 games in 3 days.
But at
you're gonna be burnt out once it comes to the playoffs for that. It's like, what arm do you throw out at this point? Who's pitching on 3 days rest?
But at the same time, it's the Yankees need something, and if they can make up a lot of games with against the Marlins, especially since while they're still surprisingly in the playoff spot, they have cooled down significantly from that white hot streak to start the season. Their record is they've more or less evened out after having the best record in baseball for the longest time. Right now they're actually 1 game out of a playoff spot. That they're 3rd in the NL East, and just percentage. They're percentage points ahead of the Rockies and the Brewers, but I could see that gap closing, especially with games being made up by other teams, including against the Marlins. So there's a lot that's still to be had in this season, even in this short stint. The only teams that are really right now in control, the Rays, of course, after firmly cementing their hold. The
Athletics.
The Athletics, the Dodgers. And it's a shame with the Dodgers, because if it wasn't for the Dodgers, you would hear the top 2 records, the top 3 records, are the Dodgers, the Rays, and then what is the team that I am now hopping on, because the Yankees have been consistently disappointing me as of late. The aptly named Slam Diego Padres. This team, my God, it's a shame that they are in the same division as the Dodgers, because they really are looking like a true number 1 seed for the playoffs.
I mean, you've got such a great overhaul of what they got from the trade deadline, combined with what they already had. I mean, just some names that jump out now: Mike Clevenger, Trevor Rosenthal's name you hear. What else do we have? Manny Machado,
Mitch Moreland, who's big now that Eric Hosmer is out for a few weeks with injury.
You got former top prospect Will Myers is on the team, and then of course, Fernando Tatis Jr.
The second generation of Fernando Mania in California. This guy is definitely on the short list for MVP. You see how how he's hitting. That he's he's basically as it's like how LeBron James came to the Miami Heat and suddenly they're winning. They won everything. It's the same thing with Tatis. That the top prospect who let's let's not forget is also was a steal for the team when they shipped off a aging James Shields to a White Sox team that was trying to shore up pitching in a short term hurry.
Yep.
That what a haul this was for the Padres to get it, and all these guys are controllable. Clevenger's here for a few years. Tatis still has 4 years before free agency. That you have Manny Machado. Will Myers' contract is not looking like the albatross it used to be.
Yep.
You have Chris Paddock. You have all these prospects like Mackenzie Gore coming up. That this is a team that's going to make a run for their first World Series championship, and their window is kicked down wide open. That they're going to be a team that's going to challenge the Dodgers for supremacy in the NL West for the next several years, especially with inconsistencies in the rest of that division.
Yeah. And what is it? Chase Tingler. It's his first year now.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta see. I mean, we've seen teams get hot for 1-2 years and then falter on some really good magic, but we'll have to see. I mean, it looks like the Padres are gonna be the real deal, but they definitely have a team to definitely do it. Maybe add a couple more pieces in the off season.
And what's gonna
I'm excited.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting, and that this is for all teams, not just for the Padres and the Yankees, that it doesn't matter how good or bad are you. The first round is going to be a best-of-3 series at the higher seed. So right now, for the Padres, they have the number 2 seed in the National League. They would right now be facing their division actually, no, they would not be facing their division rival. They would be currently facing the Philadelphia Phillies, who have actually no, I take that back. The winning percentage of the Giants is lower, so they would be facing their division rival Giants. And the American League, since the Yankees currently have the number 8 seed, they would have to face the Tampa, who has lorded over them all season. But in a 3-game series, if everyone's healthy or if a team is hurt, even the Dodgers could be knocked off by the Marlins or the Giants or whoever is the number 8 seed.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, the Rays have lost the last 2 games to the Nationals, the lowly Nationals.
Yeah, the
6-1, 5-3.
Yeah.
But those are the first 2 back-to-back losses they've had since all the way back when they lost 5 consecutive games from July 29th to August 2nd.
I forgot they even lost 5 games in a row with how hot they've been.
Yeah, so it's been really hard right now for Tampa Bay to lose back-to-back games. So at this point, if the Yankees are matched up against Tampa, they got to win Game 1, and if they lose Game 2, then obviously they got to win Game 3. But that seems like the only way that's going to happen at this point.
Yeah, and it all has to be done on the Trop. They don't have the luxury of a short porch in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
They got to do it. Hit some off the caroms and the
and hope
roof.
The outfield misplays it.
Yeah. But also the other thing is that we're still not sure where they're playing, because remember a few weeks ago baseball was talking about putting everyone in a bubble for the playoffs. American League in California, National League and World Series in Texas. Since that report's come, we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything from the players' union about what their stance is. We don't know. So at this current moment, this might be because nationally coronavirus cases are coming down to the point where they're almost where the initial wave peaked out. So maybe because they're seeing cases come down nationally, and and in baseball that the few new cases of virus are not multi-day, weeks long affairs like they were at the beginning of the year. That they might feel that they can avoid the worst and keep their traditional playoff format. We'll see. We're as of the 9th, we are exactly 2.5 weeks away from the end of the season on the 27th. So
that'll go by real fast.
It depends on who you are. For the Tigers, who just lost 19-0 against the Brewers, it might.
Ooh, did they? Ooh.
Yeah, that.
I saw 7-0 earlier today. Oh.
No.
God.
And that's the team that was looking to maybe capitalize on the Yankees' play, but they've been scuffling a bit, so that they might be officially done after this drubbing.
Looking at the box score for this, the 1, 2, 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 hitters all had at least 2 hits.
Urias and Taylor at
yeah. Some of these guys 3 for 5, 4 for 6.
Two home runs from Yorko, who is now their everyday first baseman. Don't count the Brewers out in that wild card mix. They're a few games out of the 8th seed, but remember 2018 where they put the pedal through the floor to get to the playoffs and went all the way.
Even last year when they lost, they lost what's his name?
When the play in the outfield.
Yep.
And Josh Hader.
Yeah. No. Why am I blanking on former MVP's name?
Yelich.
Christian Yelich.
Yes.
Yeah. When he went down, it was like, oh, they're not going to win anything. They're a couple games out, and then they go and win like 16 out of 17 games.
Yeah, they play even better without him.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got to see how that's all going to work out.
We'll see, but now baseball's no longer the lords of the regular season right now. As of tomorrow, it's kickoff time. The NFL season will be starting officially tomorrow, and amazingly enough, the first game in all of football will have some fans in it. The what is it? Houston
is going to Kansas City.
Yeah,
the defending Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, the Texans. I was blanking on their name, and against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have been allowed to have up to 16,000 fans in the stadium. They're only one of 2 teams that currently have clearance for fans, the other being Jacksonville. But right now, it seems that fans are taking a wait and see approach. That they haven't sold out that opening day to pay off that big contract that Patrick Mahomes has now.
Well, speaking of big contracts in this game, Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans signed a 4-year extension worth like $160 million. He's going to be paid annually about $39 million for the next 4 years.
That's up.
So that actually, I believe, trumps Patrick Mahomes' average annual salary. So there's that, but then of course you got to say, oh well, what is Dak now going to ask for? Dak Prescott of the Cowboys, and honestly, if he's like anywhere near $20 million, shame on the Cowboys for overspending.
Yeah, because they don't think Prescott is anywhere near the level of that you should be talking in Mahomes or Trout type or Mookie Betts type money.
Yeah,
we talked about this.
Now you can win a Super Bowl with him. There's no doubt about that. As long as you have a complete team around him, but it's not going to be because of him.
No, and we also have the interesting storyline of what are the Patriots doing in the post Tom Brady era. With the only person really left is Bill Belichick. He has Cam Newton, who's looking to rebound after a couple lost seasons to injury. See if his career is over or has a second wind, and see if the hoodie reigns supreme in the AFC, or does Buffalo step up to the plate and finally get back to that playoff mantra that they've been missing since.
Or if the Jets can stay healthy. Darnold, I still don't think is the answer. got no awareness, but he's shown some flashes in certain games where he can be a good quarterback. I know the Jets got rid of a couple key defensive pieces that led them to like an 11, but it's not looking quite good.
I was also going to say that they did manage to alienate Jamal Adams enough that he requested a trade to Seattle. So, is that going to come and haunt the Jets this season? Is that going to be the difference for either them or Seattle in making?
I mean, I loved the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I was a big fan of Leon Washington when he was on the Jets. So when he got traded randomly, I still don't understand why. The whole locker room didn't at the time. But he went to the Seahawks, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll root for the Seahawks. And then Russell Wilson came aboard, and he plays like the MVP he should be every year. And I've just sort of grown to love that Seattle team with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. So I welcome Jamal Adams to an organization that knows how to win games, except when they don't hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch.
And I guess the other storyline in the NFL right now is Captain Joe Burrows of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
And how
as a rookie, without playing any games yet, he has been named a captain. So, I mean, I guess props to him showing leadership already. I mean, it comes sort of with being the number one pick and a supposed future Hall of Famer from what the expectations are, but you got to play.
Put the money where your mouth is. If you're deserving of that much money, show why you're deserving it. Especially for there aren't that many teams that are as forlorn right now as the Bengals. The Browns seem to have been coming out of it, but hit a stumbling block. The Jaguars had to blow up their team. The Houston Texans were downright embarrassed last season.
Yep.
But the Bengals it's been a while since they've had much positive mantra, and considering that the Cincinnati Reds are trying to break out of their prolonged slump, it would behoove the Bengals to get good lest they become alienated in a potential Reds baseball town once again.
Yeah. Maybe they got to get Pete Rose back.
Haven't bet on the Bengals. Nothing could go wrong with that.
And then just one last thing for football. Former Pittsburgh linebacker Ryan Shazier has officially retired from the NFL at 28. A few years back, he had a horrific neck injury trying to make a tackle. He immediately went to the ground, grabbed his back, couldn't feel his legs. He is walking again, but it did not look good back in 2017.
No, all best for him. Devastating injury.
He's not sure if coaching is going to be in his career because he was definitely a really good player. I think 4 years he was there. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. He was getting better and better. It was just that 7 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles, 7 sacks, 299 tackles. Full-time starter in his final 3 seasons out of his 4 seasons. Or nearly 4 seasons. So it's a shame. I was really hoping he could come back, but obviously when you've got an injury like that, you better play it safe at this point.
Yeah, especially.
But it looks like the Steelers are keeping him sort of on like the reserve retired list to basically keep him a part of the organization, so he gets some benefits. So it just shows you how classy the Steelers are.
Yeah, good for them, especially someone as horrific an injury and as devastating it was. It would have been easy for them to just say we're done, we're cutting your contract. But all the best for him in his post-playing careers, and hopefully maybe he can contribute back onto the field as a coaching role.
Yep, hopefully. Now to switch over to a little bit of basketball, as the Celtics-Raptor game is about to start as we're recording. Celtics are up 3-2 in the series. They should have already won because they blew the third game by not covering the guy on the opposite corner when they scored with half a second to go, and they let the Raptors inbound the pass and get a clear three-point shot for the win. Otherwise, the Celtics demolished them in the first game and the fifth game by like 20 points. So it really depends on who's going to shoot better threes. That's basically what it's come down to in all these games. And, hopefully the Celtics win this. If they don't, I don't know. I don't like my chances in Game 7. The Celtics have only lost once, being up 2-0, and that was against LeBron James a couple of years back.
Which can be forgiven.
So we'll have to see. But I really hope they do. They're a young team. They're a very talented team. They just gotta learn to not suck when it really matters. Here's to Brad Stevens, hopefully winning Coach of the Year eventually. But who knows? Maybe it'll just take another 10 years. We have the surprising, well, not quite surprising knockout. The Miami Heat beat the Milwaukee Bucks 4-1. Giannis didn't even play the final game because of an ankle injury. He actually left Game 4 partway through because he couldn't deal with the ankle injury anymore. That might have kept him out of Game 4. So I think the Heat are a very good, competent team. Their head coach has been very good for this last decade or so that he's been there. Props to him on that. Jimmy Butler playing very good basketball. If the Celtics get past the Raptors, this might be probably one of the best series you're going to see in basketball. You've got two good teams playing each other, if we get this far.
Yeah. I mean, that's aside from the potential storylines out of the West, where right now both LA teams, the Lakers and the Clippers, are up 2-1 against their semifinals opponents. That just for the storylines of the Lakers in the post Kobe era, dear God, pronunciation, and then the Clippers who could are trying once again to one up their bigger brother in the city. That while the better play might be in the East Conference, the better storylines, in my opinion, are in the West. If both LA teams make it to the conference finals.
Yeah, I mean, the Denver Nuggets are by no means a slouch of a team.
And neither are the Rockets.
No, the Rockets aren't either, but when you got some good guys here, the Nuggets have been up and down these last several years. I mean, Carmelo Anthony was on there for the early parts of the 2000s, and then he went away, and they sort of fell apart, and then he came back, and you got guys like Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, both playing really well. So it's going to be, I think, going to be a decent series. I think the Clippers should dismantle the Denver Nuggets, just because Kawhi and George are just better players. Kawhi knows what it takes to win a championship and play when it matters. So I think if we can get Heat, Celtics, and then an LA finals here, I think that's going to be the four best teams, the two best series you'll see, and I'm excited for that. Who I think's going to win? If the Celtics get past the Raptors, I think they have the slight edge over the Heat. I don't know if they'll get Gordon Hayward back in time to take on the Heat, or if they even need him. Because sometimes he clicks, sometimes he doesn't with them. As for the Lakers versus the Clippers, as much as I know LeBron's had his rest and he's ready to go, and Anthony Davis can have good nights and bad nights, I think I might give it to the Clippers. Clippers, Celtics, and you know what? I think Kawhi wins a third championship with this third team. I'm going Clippers over Celtics in 5.
I'm not sure. I don't count out a storyline overcoming tragedy. That's one of the oldest plays in all of sports. Yankees in 2001. You had
They didn't win the World Series in 2001.
no, but they made it all the way to the World Series. So I think.
But that doesn't matter.
Hey,
According to The Rock.
Yeah, true, but it matters for the Lakers right now. I have a feeling they'll at least get to the finals, but I'm I'm riding the hot hand of the Miami Heat all the way. I think they're going to take down their former star LeBron in the finals in 6 games.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about this, though, is the spacing of some of these games. Because if the Celtics finish it off tonight, they're done. They'll play the Heat. But then you have these other teams. I mean, they're only at the 3rd game. Both series could possibly go to 7 games. At that point, that's a whole nother week of playing. Say Boston or Miami, one of them sweeps the other. Then you're looking at like a whole week's worth of like just resting and not playing, and that's not good for basketball. Like you have to be in a consistent rhythm to play.
I mean, go have them go hit the links in Disney. There are enough golf courses there. No, but yeah, this is a problem with bracket sports in general. In best of series, what happens when you quickly finish your series and then the other one goes all the way to the wire? I mean, shifting a little over to the Stanley Cup right now, where we're in our semifinal format, that you had all three of the 4 series go all the way, and then you had the Tampa Bay Lightning who won theirs after 5 games and then had to wait to see if they were playing the Pacers or the Flyers, excuse me, and
honestly, I think it was
Islanders.
good for Tampa Bay to finish early and wait, because these last several years they've been a top team in the regular season, and they've just been a no-show in the playoffs, basically. And they're now here in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think that little bit of rest was good for them, or is good for them, that they got to sort of like let everything sink in, really think about how they're going to approach a team against the New York Islanders, who, honestly, my sister's boyfriend Chris is a big Islanders fan. It's his team, and I asked him because I wasn't following hockey as much as I would have, because I forgot my family switched to Hulu, and we don't get MSG, so we couldn't watch the Rangers get the crap kicked out of them by Carolina. So I just sort of was like, forget it. So I asked him, I was like, so who's like the big guy? Because Tavares used to be the guy, but now he's on Toronto. And he's like, basically, he actually did know. He had to look it up, and he was looking, and basically everyone sort of contributes on this team. You have, for goals, the most goals scored on the team was 26. The least, of course, was 0. But you have guys ranging, you had 3 guys at 10, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 26. So, I mean, these guys were just sort of sharing it all together. And if you've got unity like that, Islanders might be really hard to beat.
Mm.
So, I think that was sort of good with Tampa Bay getting that time to sort of rest a little bit, think it over, how they're going to tackle, who they're going to be playing. So this should shape up to be a good series.
Well, they have to come out of a 1-0 hole tonight at 8 o'clock, and meanwhile in the West, the series is tied between the Knights and the Stars at 1 apiece. So too early to really tell how that's.
Oh, and apparently the Golden Knights now have more wins than 4 NHL teams, despite just being in the league for like 3 years now. So, props to the Vegas Golden Knights. Go get them. Beat Dallas. And hopefully I'll get to see a Lightning Vegas Knights Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, maybe they'll actually get it. They also right now have more franchise wins than they already have 120 some odd wins. That's more than several baseball franchises have had over the last 2-3 seasons,
Yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah. And what was it? Also, the NHL coming out of its like 7th, 8th week of its bubble up in Canada, and still no positive tests. So Canada's doing things right. But you know what's not going right? The possible. I don't even want to say proposal for a 346 team for the NCAA college basketball tournament. That's completely ludicrous. Whoever thought of it as a thing, like I mean, like I can understand, it's like, oh, why don't we just have everyone do that, like, for shits and giggles. Sorry, demonetized now.
We were making money.
No. Anyway, do that, but like to actually suggest it and make it like a legitimate thing, you should just be fired at that point. That's too much chaos. I mean, it's been broken down. I mean, you're gonna have like half the teams just have a first round bye, and then other teams are gonna come in just to play 40 minutes of basketball and leave after that. You can't be testing like 8,000 people for like that's just you can't do that.
I mean, this proposal does have star power behind it. It's Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, actually is the spearheading this proposal. So
But like, how do you even bracket something like this? Like, what happens if Duke or Kentucky lose in like their third game or something? Like, not that they should, but that happens in the regular season all the time in college basketball. You have like a weird hiccup in like game 3. And it's like, oh no, Kentucky went from number 1 pick to win it all, and now they've dropped down to like 20. Then it's like, wait, what? No, they're fine. They'll win their next 15 games in a row, and then they do, and then Kentucky goes and they make a deep run into the tournament for March Madness, and then it's fine.
Well, they also said this is the idea is also in part as an apology to those bracket busting teams that made it last year but had their Cinderella runs cut short by coronavirus.
Hey, new year, new team.
Yeah, new year, new team, but for some of them that might have been their one and only shot.
Well, you know what? I mean, sure, it takes into draft stock and all that stuff because some guys come and really play well in the March Madness. But you can't be doing that many teams. Like, at that point, are you, like, round-robining it? And it's like, once you lose, like, 5 games, then you're done or something? Like, I don't know how you would do something like this with that many teams for teams that honestly shouldn't be there. Like, if you want to talk about the MAC, where our colleges were a part of, Siena won the division, and it looked like they were going to win the MAC tournament here in Atlantic City, where the tournament was going to be held. But it got cut short, and Siena might have made it into March Madness had they won the MAC tournament, but we're not going to know. Would they have gone far? No, they probably would have been a number 16 seed, maybe a 15 seed, but they probably would have gotten the crap kicked out of them against a real team. So,
well, the preference for the NCAA right now is to have the same 68 team tournament as usual in March. So, right now this is more a proposal. It only just got proposed within the last few hours of recording, so it's probably not going to get in. It would be interesting for sure to see what the logistics behind this would entail and how they would plan it out, but this is probably more of a wishful thinking than anything.
This might be a little too much, but I think if you can get everyone on your basketball team to do the proper math without any help on how to do this, then then your entire team can go to this 346 tournament.
See, here's your first problem. Thinking that all of them are actually going to be studying math.
Yeah, no.
Considering the nature of sports and collegiate sports in general, I have some.
But honestly, they should be. They should be.
No,
have we not seen Moneyball? what Trevor Bauer's trying to accomplish in baseball with all these statistics and everything, and I think it's finally working out for him a little bit.
All the other basketball players.
Numbers don't lie. They don't lie.
No.
And that's what these guys should be doing, trying to figure out. I mean, in high school, I said a great physics final for college players should be create a football play. Figure out all the physics of the air, the humidity, the torque on the football as you're trying to throw it, the arc of it, running your route, what the cleats are, what the friction is. I think that would be a fantastic way to do it. It applies what you're trying to accomplish in your life, and I think it makes you a better player, not just, I'm going to go out there and rely on my natural ability. Like, use your head, be a little bit smarter. I know I'm getting a little ranty on this, but it's so bad that all these, not all of them are dumb jocks, but it's just sad that they get preferential treatment.
Yeah, there are more than a few ignorant collegiate and high school athletes that could benefit from being more well-rounded. But that's a topic for another day as we close out this recording on September 9th.
Just one more NASCAR real quick.
Oh yeah, we forgot our NASCAR update.
Yep. Kevin Harvick had probably one of the worst cars I've ever seen. I believe it was Darlington. He was not running well. He had to pit early, which sort of set him off cycle. Even the announcers were like, what kind of pit is this? It's not on schedule. And then he got lucky with a couple cautions, and he came back out or whatever, and where he had to pit, basically everyone pitted a little bit after him, so he was like up in the front, just because of the way it cycles when everyone's pitting. But then another caution came out a couple laps later, and at that point everyone was like, we might just get new tires now. So Harvick basically stayed in the front, and that sort of kept happening, but his car was loose. He wouldn't go up high on the track at all. It was basically the Truex and Elliott show the entire race. Denny Hamlin was there as well fighting, but Truex just had the better car, winning the first two stages. Elliott leading the first couple decades of laps. But two of them were fighting it out at the end. Hamlin tried to make a pit, but he got caught in lap traffic, couldn't get into the pits. So he had to go to the back a little bit, which kept Harvick from having to not face somebody. And then Chase Elliott made the stupid decision to change his lanes, which let Truex to try and swoop around, but then Truex didn't clear him. They both crashed into the wall, and Harvick was able to steal the win with both of them having to go to pit road and getting his 8th win of the year. I couldn't believe it. I was just praying Chase Elliott wouldn't win the race, and it's looking more and more likely that Harvick's going to win this championship once he gets to Phoenix. So here's to Harvick and getting that second title he deserves.
Yeah. And I guess one last thing, the very last thing, right after we finished recording our last episode, news broke that Tom Seaver passed away from complications from Lewy body dementia and COVID-19. And then at the end this past weekend, Hall of Famer Lou Brock, famously of the Cardinals, in one of the many disastrous trades that the Cubs made in the 60s, also passed away. So baseball lost a pair of all-time greats this week, and
rest in peace there.
Rest in peace, and wish the best for all the families. But that ends it for us this week, Joe. 2.5 weeks until the baseball playoffs. But can't wait. Even if the Yankees, if the Yankees fall out, we have a lot to talk about. If the Yankees are in, we have a lot to talk about. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so we'll have lots to talk about this upcoming week, seeing how things shape up. And if not, then go Padres.
Go Padres.
Because I can't root for the Diamondbacks in their snazzy uniforms because they suck this year.
Yeah, either Padres or the Brewers get into a run and squeak in. Because someone has to tell the Marlins that.
But I don't like the Brewer uniform. That logo is trash.
No, but I like the Brewers. And the Rockies aren't doing anything, so I gotta find another team. Alright.
Alright, I'll catch you later.
See ya.
Peace. Wash your hands.
Wear a mask.